After getting back from Paris Games Week for the Nintendo World Championships NES Edition stream of Showdown, I literally slept continuously for 24 hours, but I'm so excited to come on video and talk to you guys because I went and won it! Like, what? So allow me to take you through this crazy weekend that was honestly just wonderful from start to finish. And I do just want to, before anything else, just say so massive a thank you to Nintendo for giving me this opportunity because it was better than I could have possibly imagined. I'm also going to take you through some of the stream VOD for the event itself because I've only watched it like today basically, and I want to show you guys some of the stuff that happened from my perspective and just take you through what it all was all about. So after getting to Paris on the Friday, I can tell you my nerves were shot to pieces. I'm one of these people that in a competitive environment or before a major event or anything, my nerves are the absolute worst. Like, I get super anxious, I question everything. But going into this, obviously I knew that all of the other creators were like huge in their respective countries, and I really wanted to show up, not just as a creator, but I wanted to take the speedrunning aspect of this really seriously. And you guys will have seen through my training videos that I really wanted to do well and do right by the speedrunning community, because one of the things that was very in my head and I was very self-conscious of was the fact that I was not a speedrunner and I wasn't known for speedrunning beforehand, and I knew that people would be like, oh, you know, it's streamers, they're not speedrunners, and I was like, no, when I show up to a challenge, I will show up to it. And as I said, my nerves may have been all over the place before the day, but if you put me in a competitive environment or somewhere where I have to perform in such a way, I will show up and I will get the job done. One of the best things about the weekend is honestly making friends with the other competitors. We got on so well. Every single person was just lovely. I've been to a lot of events with creators from all over the world, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. But with this particular group of people, I felt we bonded just really quickly. And to be honest with you, none of us really knew quite what to expect from this event going into it. And I could tell you something, when we saw the stage on the Saturday morning, not one of us was expecting quite the production that was going on, and it was a moment to find that out. It was also really nice to attend Paris Games Week. I've never been to Paris Games Week before, but I've been to events in the US, I've been to places in the UK, and Paris Games Week honestly puts a lot of events that we have in the UK to shame. The size and magnitude of what was showcased on the Paris Games Week, like every booth was twice the size. There were twice as many of them. It was just really wonderful to see how much of it there was specifically for gaming. I know in the UK, EGX, which is our most well-known event in the UK, has now been merged with Comic-Con, and it was actually happening on the same weekend as I was in Paris, so I didn't get to experience that. And I would have liked to have seen how that went, because we've actually lost a lot of our events in the UK for gaming in the last few years, and I really hope that we get some of them back, certainly if they're anything like what this was. So we'll cut to the event, and I'll bring up the stream and the VOD, and I'll take you through where some of the mentalities were at each point in time, because some of it's going to be very funny. So before we go into anything with the actual event itself, I just want to give a major shout out to these two. Bowie and Nims have been friends of mine. Well, Bowie I've known for like 4 or 5 years now, and Nims I've gotten to know really well over the past year since I've been attending Nintendo events a lot, and these two are just incredible at what they do. They're wonderful casters together. I'm actually jealous because I used to be a caster for Square Enix back in the day with Final Fantasy TCG, and just watching these two do what they do, as well as the French cast as well, they were all magnificent. This job is not easy. Let me tell you that. From someone who's experienced it, this is not easy, and they just nail this event so well, and I'm just really proud to call them friends, to be honest. So we all come out individually onto the stage, and I could tell you something, the body dysmorphia for me was real. Like, I have gained some weight this year, and it's very, very apparent on this stage because this lighting highlights everything. But to go sort of down the line, actually that's a really good place to stop there. To go down the line there, so you have Matthias there from Rocket Beans TV from Germany, Minthos from France, Seto from Poland, Ray Bacon from Spain, then there's me, then there's Viking Plays from Italy, Annie Fuchsia from Sweden, and then Samora from the Netherlands. And I'll tell you something, every single one of these people were fantastic. I adored spending time with each and every one of them. And honestly, as much as the event itself was just fantastic, to be able to come away from an event like this with people who know how these things go and have experienced this more than I have, and to call them friends, I'm really looking forward to spending more time with all of them in the future. So I'm not going to go like through the entire event because otherwise we'll be here for hours, but this first event, so the Mush Zoom, is the seeding round. So we had to individually play through just the opening bit of Super Mario Bros. 1 where we had to grab the mushroom. And it sounds super simple. It is super simple. But to get it right is actually really hard because you have such little amount of time to get it right. And luckily, I did pretty well at this. I actually didn't do the best at this because Annie Fuchsia actually turned around and stole it. Because she did really, really well. But that 4 seconds and 3 splits time I got, Minthos also got. So we both got identical times, tying us for second place. Now, all of us didn't really think about tiebreakers because we were like, oh, you know, that's not going to happen. Who's going to get the same time twice? How wrong we were. So as you can see, I'm doing Metroid, which, to be honest, none of us really practiced because none of us really thought it was going to happen. Now, fortunately, I know Metroid very well. Metroid is one of my favourite NES games. I love the Metroid series, so I know how to navigate this. But because none of us really saw this coming, we kind of all wanted to practice getting the times for everything else before this. I didn't actually know on the first round that I'd already beaten Minthos's time. And I just kept going because it wasn't a flex. Like, everyone's like, oh, Joe's flexing now. It's like, no. I was just so zoned in on what I was doing that I didn't even think about it. I'm like, just beat your own time. You can work out the rest later. And it worked out for the best because I did win this round. And that put me at the lead, or second place, to have us divided into 2 further groups. So you'd have 1st, 3rd, 5th and 7th on one group, and then you'd have 2nd, 4th, 6th and 8th in the other. So now we move into the actual round. So this is interesting, and I'm actually going to pause this here because unfortunately there was a slight technical issue where this is actually displayed incorrectly. I'm actually 4th player, Seto is actually 1st player, Viking is 3rd player, and Samora is 2nd. And we were just kind of like thought that because I was deemed player 1, Viking was player 2, Samora player 3, Seto player 4, we all thought that we were the other way around as well. So when you look at this, all 4 of us actually make the same mistake and we're all looking at the wrong screen. So this level that I practiced so much and I was so determined to get it right, all 4 of us just mess it up completely. So I was just like, oh no. And I'd spoken to people before thinking, oh no, Joe's really messed it up. I'm actually the 4th player. So I noticed that I was playing on the wrong place earlier and managed to pick it up, and I still managed to get 1st place on this. And it's not until the 3rd or 4th round that I think everyone realised that the screens were the wrong way round. So it's in a way kind of fierce because it looks like I'm lagging behind when I'm actually not. So in this second level, quite an interesting thing happens because me and Viking Plays get identical times on this. And it looks like it's super wild, super impressive. So both of us got 11 seconds 40. Now there's a safety strategy to this level where you let yourself get hit by the first bubble that rises. And it makes the timing of all the other bubbles make sense a lot more. And you will always get that time if you do that. So it actually looks way more inexplicable than it actually is. So this next level, Mario 3, this one I had practiced to the ends of the earth, and you can see that I have. So I think at this point, they've changed the overlay because they're like, oh, we're trying to work out who's who still. But I'm player 4 here. So I'm the only person that does this jump up into the cloud by jumping up the Koopa to get over into the sky. And when this happened in the crowd, of which there were over 1,000 people in this crowd, which was something none of us saw coming, I heard like a big old cheer and I'm like, oh, I could get into this. I actually love being on stage. I really enjoy it. I get a lot of fulfillment out of performing, being in front of a lot of people, public speaking, all of that stuff. So to get that kind of a feedback from me playing Super Mario Bros. 3, not gonna lie to you, it felt good. So this next level, 1-1 and done, Kirby's Adventure. A lot of people didn't know the speedrunning strategies that I knew, and you can see that it's been rectified on the screens now, so I'm in the place I should be. I'm actually really grateful to the speedrunning community as a whole here, because I joined up with a group because, like I said, I wanted to take this super seriously, and Vim, who holds the world record for this particular stage, and a lot of Kirby's Adventure stages actually, took me through quite a lot of the techniques that you can do here. So for example, I'll give you a quick sort of go back to the beginning again. So you'll see what I do here is I do a little hop at the beginning. So I do a hop here, which manipulates that waddle do into walking forwards instead of just standing and attacking, which allows me to damage boost off the back of it, which makes me invulnerable for long enough to just run through the first two enemies. The other thing you want to do with this level is if you're with Kirby, if you slide, because like hold down and press A, you'll slide off a corner and you'll maintain your momentum for much longer. Better still, these jumps that I'm doing here, if you hit the ground and jump immediately frame perfectly, you get to maintain that momentum from the slide tackle you've done off the corner. So if you just keep jumping and you get it frame perfect, I think you lose 6 frames of momentum for every frame late you are on the jump. Don't quote me on that, but I think that that's true. And you end up looking like you're just flying through the levels. You can actually do way better than the time I got here, which is 32:05. I think Vim's world record is like 28 or like sub 28 now even. You can actually do this even better than I'm doing it here. But bear in mind, I have very limited time training and I wanted to stick with consistency and the ways that I knew best rather than like trying to go for world records and flexing. So the 2 top players from each of the 2 groups, I didn't put the other group in because I didn't want to make the video super long, go through to the final. So you have me, Viking, Annie, and Matthias from Rocket Beans. So we then go into the final tournament, which is all of Donkey Kong, World 1 of Mario 3, and all of Super Mario Bros. And I have absolutely no shame in telling you that I cannot stand Donkey Kong. In this environment, at the very least. There's a lot of RNG and luck involved in the way that the fires in levels 2 and 3 move. And as you can see, with this particular level, it just hates me. Like, the RNG absolutely just cannot stand me. So the way you do level 2 is you want to get up the ladder quicker than the fire does and then immediately jump to the right. But if you're a frame late, that happens. So I'm now stuck hoping that the fire doesn't come down the ladder at me. Luckily it didn't, otherwise I'd have been in real trouble. And then you just go from there. So as you can see, Viking and Rocket Beans have like already hit level 3, whereas I hadn't. So I was like in panic state here. And in this bit, the fires absolutely just throw me for a loop. And if we skip ahead a little bit, because you've got to like lower all the pegs. Skip ahead a little bit, you'll see the fires just spawn in the worst places for me. And going ahead just a little smidge, so I had to go in an awkward route round to go and get it, but at this point I thought the fire's going to come right at me and I have no choice but to jump over it. Jumping over it is frame perfect. I jumped over it, was really happy that I got it, and then realised I'd grabbed the hammer doing it, so I'm just stood in a corner for like 10-15 seconds going, well, I guess I'm just sitting here doing this and hoping that the others don't catch up to me. And I got second out of it. So all things said and done, it worked, but I never want to play Donkey Kong again because of this. I shan't take you through all of World 1 Wizard because it will take a long time to do so, but I already felt very confident in this level, and because I had already seen what I was able to do with level 1, which I actually did mess up the first time I did, and then managed to recover it quickly, the rest of it I felt very confident in going at it, but I noticed that like you get little segments of time, so like you've finished a level, or you've got a bit of an auto-scroller, which you have at the end of the world, for you to be able to check where you are in comparison to everybody else. And there was this point where I was just kind of like every little while, my nerves are shot to pieces at this point, but I'm looking back and I'm like, okay, I'm ahead at the moment, got my fire flower, because getting the fire flower is really good, because the mid boss, the boom boom, you're able to take out far quicker if you have a fire flower than in any other way. So I had access to that, and it was going really smoothly. I did make some mistakes in a couple of the levels, but I think that I managed to get ahead early really well so that I didn't get caught up on too easily. You do also have a little bit of RNG in this particular in this course, because the Hammer Bro, as it moves, it's taking time. But so if you get the Hammer Bro early, like I just did, you take it out and then you no longer have to worry about that. So there is a little bit of RNG there, and it was in my favor in this situation as opposed to Donkey Kong where it wasn't. So Mario Master starts going well for me from the beginning. Like, it was, I noticed that I was getting ahead in terms of where I was in the levels quite quickly, and to finish World 1-1 really quickly is a challenge in and of itself. But what I had done is I had used NSO, or Nintendo Switch Online, to practice specific parts of Mario 1. So like this bit here with the vine, I was really nervous I was going to mess that up, but I'd practiced it so much because I know how much time you can lose on it, that I just went back and did it over and over and over and over again, just using Super Mario Bros. On the NES version on NSO, because you can load up the suspend points or save states, however you want to call them, and just keep doing it over and over again. So I spent a lot of my practice time just doing Mario Master, because I knew it was like the big one that I think I'm going to lose. I honestly think I'm going to lose at this point. And it wasn't until I got to the end of 8-3, which went really well and can go horribly wrong because Hammer Bros can be a pain in the backside, that I realized, oh, hold on a minute, I'm like 2 levels ahead of everybody else. And I was like, I think I might have got this. I think I might have got this. This might actually go, this might work, I might win. And it was at this point in my head that you could see my face down in the bottom corner there. I am in full concentration mode. I'm like, don't mess it up now, don't mess it up now. Bowser, on the other hand, had other plans. So I was just kept jumping into Bowser, and it just took a moment. Breathe, let him jump over you, you're that far ahead, it's fine, don't mess it up now. But then we go through this, and I'd finished Mario in sub 6 minutes, which was the time I was aiming for, and I was really happy that I'd managed it. So yeah, I won the event. But there was one final surprise to me that I did not see coming. As you can see here, I'd like to point out, I'm stood behind everybody else. I took a step back with this, and then this happens, and I absolutely poo myself, because I was not expecting pyrotechnics and fireworks, and I was sitting there going, my hair's already not the thickest in the world, screw it, we'll just take the whole lot of it off, shall we? We'll just burn the rest of that off. And I tell you something, it is really cool to own an item like this. I was a little worried about taking this through customs to get home, because this thing is not playing around. This is almost Buster Sword shaped, and so it's just very, very cool to have, and like it's something that will stay with me forever. I wasn't kidding in my first video for this, where I said I had heard legends of the 1990 World Championships, and like as a little boy I was like, oh my god, one day I'd love to play in something like that. And now, not only played in one, I won one. The whole experience has just been wild. Seeing my face turn up on the Nintendo Switch news feed, seeing the major production efforts that were going into this event, walking away with the grand prize, and just being able to talk to incredible creators who, honestly, I look up to a great deal. They've done so well in their careers, and I am still wanting to grow and learn from other people. Like, in terms of being a creator, I've been doing this for a while, but I've been doing it since COVID, realistically, and taking it really seriously. And I have terrible imposter syndrome to sit there and like, oh my god, I'm on a stage with these people, and it's insane to me that this has gone down the way it has. But it's really lit a fire in me, and it's made me just want to just show up as a creator so much more. And I've loved Nintendo games since I was so young, and yes, RPGs are the thing I'm most well known for on YouTube currently, but going into the new year, I got loads of ideas that I want to sort of branch out for, because I don't just love RPGs, I don't just love Nintendo, I love games, I love the art form of video games, I love the community that art games or that video games can bring, and I think there's so much scope to learn from. And so to be able to walk away with something like this, as well as just the experience overall, it's honestly a kind of overwhelming, which is probably why I spent all of yesterday sleeping. In terms of whether I'd continue to do speedrunning, honestly, I'm kind of thinking about it. I had a really good time with NES Edition. I don't know if anybody remembers, but a long time ago, like I'm talking 3 years ago maybe, I did start to try speedrunning with Final Fantasy X, but I found it quite difficult to maintain my attention because it's such a long speedrun. But maybe for something shorter, I could learn to do better. Maybe even NES Edition itself. I've always admired speedrunners. I mean, Bowie, who is one of the casters, is a speedrunner himself, and I've spoken to him copious times because he does so well with it, and I'd love to learn about it. Let me know in the comments, actually. Like, if I were to speedrun a game, what kind of game would you see me doing? I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, that is how my weekend went with Paris Games Week and Nintendo World Championship NES Edition. And I don't have any more words to say that wouldn't be me repeating myself. So thank you all very much for watching. Thank you to Nintendo UK for sending me over there. It was extraordinary. Thank you to the event hosters, the event hosts, the casters, the crew. Everyone was extremely friendly. It was useful to be able to use my French again, parce que je n'ai pas parlé le français pour environ 10 années or something like that. So it was nice to be able to kind of showcase that I can speak another language as well, and it was just wonderful. So if you've liked what you've seen here today, consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel for more video game realness all across the board. It was an absolute laugh being there, and I had the best time. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.